Hi everyone, and welcome to Human Design 101. I'm Paula Fehrmann, your host, qualified life trust coach and human design fanatic. I guide my clients to become their own experts by understanding and, more importantly, living their design. When I first came to human design, I was so overwhelmed by the triangles, squares, arrows, and numbers in the chart that I didn't touch it for more than a year. However, my human design experiment has been the most important transformation in my life, which is why I want to show you how you can use your design as a simple tool to heal, transform, integrate, grow, and ultimately become your own expert. No more looking for the experts outside of you. Keep listening and learning here on the podcast, reach out for private coaching, or book a chart reading with me. Let's talk Human Design 101. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Human Design 101. Today's episode is, I feel like I always say this, but today's episode is one I'm very excited about because I very selfishly wanted to talk to our guest today about the topic that we are going to talk about for a while. So I'm really happy to be here with Lea Cristin Besemer today. Hi Lea, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, and you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm really good as well. And we are going to talk about, I want to call it a system that you have maybe developed, maybe practiced with. And it's about making orders or prayers or manifestations. We're going to get into that with the universe and how to use that in times of uncertainty, maybe. But before we get into that, please, I know you've been on here before, but would you reintroduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, so it feels like every time someone is asking me to introduce myself, I come up with a different story because I change so much in what I'm focusing on or how I'm describing what I focus on. So I'm gonna give it a go. We both, I think, connected via human design because we're both projectors and we love understanding people and ourselves. And Um, I have been studying human design and also practicing it for the past 7 to 8 years. So I work as a mentor and I basically help people finding out what their purpose is, what their gifts are, and based on that, what kind of terms and conditions they need in life to live a life they love. Um, and as I went deeper into human design, I found the human design motivation and I found out that I have hope motivation. And then it took me a couple of years to, first of all, accept that my approach to life is very surrendered and for some, a little bit more passive. And also, I had shame around that. Um, but I think like last year or so, I think I saw a TikTok video of a woman talking about the universe is not on a budget. Just ask for what you want. And as a third line, I try out everything immediately, because my spleen was just like, there's something to it. And I started saying out these wishes or orders to the universe. And I would notice that things in my mind would shift. And also things in my reality would appear that I was like, this is spooky. This is so crazy that it's working. And then I picked up Kabbalah again, which you're also familiar with. And the Kabbalah teacher that I study with, he is also mentioning prayers a lot. I'm like, whoa, this is so crazy. And because he's so passionate about it, I was like, okay, I guess this is really a technology that you can use. Because we only know manifestation from like, oh, you create from your thoughts or you create from your feeling. But um, it actually reminds me like when my best friend died a couple of years ago, I went to a medium. And at the time, I was a complete atheist, like classic journey of a hope motivation girly. Like I started out in Germany, not believing in anything and even judging people who believe in God or higher powers because I'm like, duh, you can't see it. Um, But I just wanted to know where he is, and I'm willing to try out anything. So one of the things that she recommended to me, that was, I think, like 8 years ago, was that you need to pray. And she didn't say praying. She called it, I think, protection spells. Or like you need to communicate with the unseen world because that's really good for you. At the time, I didn't know anything about hope motivation, and that was like my portal to making things happen. And I started, and she gave me this one technique where I could visualize things working out for me, like envisioning things being surrounded with a white light, or maybe it was even a difficult conversation. And I would do that every time. For example, I would have to talk to a manager and I found him really intimidating. I'm like, I don't want to. So I would do this practice. And literally every time I would do this, the person was super nice to me. They were really like, hey, how do you feel? And not like their normal dominant self. And like over the past years, I just went on and off with like, okay, experimenting with it, because you know how it is. Like sometimes you're in the shits and then you're like, oh my God, like nothing can ever help me and I'm not getting out of this. And then you try to make things happen with the classical, like earthly steps, like taking action. And that just would never work for me. Like, obviously, to a certain extent, like, I'm not saying like sit on your couch and just send out prayers and twist your thumbs. But especially for you have need motivation, you also have a surrendered motivation. Um, the fastest way of making things happen for us surrendered babes, as I call them. You can also be a surrendered babe if you're a guy listening to this, but it just sounds cooler, if more flowy. We really need to work with the energetics, our inner world, and then ask for cooperation and support from the energetic world. So yeah, that's what I've been practicing with, and I have so many stories of how like what happened as a result of using these orders. I had one yesterday, but I'm gonna let you. Maybe you have a question as well. Then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. It's so interesting to me. And like for the listeners, if you haven't been following Lea, she's sharing on Instagram about this journey of like, hey, I've ordered this, and then next day, oh, look, here it arrived, but it didn't arrive in the way I wanted. So I went, what's the word? I changed my order, I adjusted it, and then here we go, next thing. And this has been happening like a lot, which is why I was like, okay, we'll have to talk about this, because this is just so fun, and it is an approach that people need to learn about and know about, because this moment that you've described when you just feel a little bit stuck and nothing is happening for you, like it is real, and we go through it all the time, and we need to be able to find out how to move ourselves through it with compassion and ease. And like you, I've experienced that it is not just waiting around for something to happen, because likely you're sitting in somewhat of a low frequency. But it's also not, oh, I'm going to make a plan and take action and push myself through this. So this kind of medium approach and how to craft it to make it work for you is really fascinating. Okay, and so let's get into this. We'll walk through the process, kind of, and we'll start with, what are you currently ordering or praying for?
That's a good question. So I have an active brain and a strategic mind, but I have peripheral perspective. And if you guys don't know what that means, it's basically the configuration that a lot of people have with ADHD. So my mind and my brain is always very busy. I like to focus on things, and I can only focus on like one thing at a time. But what I'm seeing in this world is so much more. And I don't focus in on specific things. So I don't focus on just one thing at a time. And this is like what I always talk about is you ask for what is alive inside of you right now. Obviously, if you're more focused, like strategic with the way that you work, you would maybe ask for the same thing every time. But for me, like, I don't know, energy moves and flows. So it's not always the same. It depends on the day. But the big topics are always for projectors: career, recognition, people that see and value you. And because I was in Bali on my Venus relationship line, I asked a lot also about relationships. Um, and
This is
yeah,
astrocartography for the listeners, by the way, if you want to look that up. Keep going.
exactly. So even with this podcast, like I wanted to, I bring a lot of like modalities into what I talk about, because I feel like there's so much wisdom in combining, for example, astrology with human design. So I'm in my 11th house perfection year, which means that the theme of this year is focused on finding my community, finding my groups, but also connecting again with what are my dreams and aspirations. And last year I was in like purely a career year, where I was just building a lot of structures, and I was creating programs and things like that. And this year I was like, okay, it's time to get a little bit more spiritual again, and actually like manifest or order all of the things that I worked for in the last year to come into existence. Um, so actually, I wanna share an example of like what happened in Bali with the relationship orders.
Yes,
So
please.
I shared a bit of this also on my Instagram, but I basically, when I start out my day, I tune into um, myself and my body, and then I feel, is there maybe some contraction or tension? And then I try to figure out, where is it coming from? What's the underlying need of this? Am I in need of a hug or of a good conversation? Or do you maybe want to be adored or admired? I have a Leo moon. So that can sometimes happen. And then after I have connected with that need and that desire, I then send out an order to the universe. And that order can just be like, as I said, like I'm not very specific when I wish for things. I'm just pointing to the feeling, and I would say something like, please connect me with my people. Where do you want me to be? Like, I'm ready, I'm open. Help me keep my heart open so that I can be receptive to the people that you want me to be with. Show me that there are people out there that vibrate on my frequency. And I just basically have like a monologue with the universe. And then most of the time, I just totally forget about it. And I just go on with my day. And I had the craziest experiences. And maybe this is also because I have Scorpio and Pluto in my 7th house. So I've always had like very intense relationship experiences. But one time, just after I sent out that prayer, I was sitting in a cafe and I did my Kundalini breathwork exercise, and then a guy like taps on my leg and he's like, "Hey, want to join?" And one of the orders that I sent out was like, "Send me someone that is like shares the same interests." Um, and that was a really nice connection, but that guy didn't physically like really attract me. So it's like, okay, nice, cool that it works. Let's rephrase, let's adjust. And then I send out an adjusted order. I go to a massage, And usually, and this is what's really important, what I noticed as well, you have to be relaxed. If you send out the order and then you're like frantically waiting for it to appear, you're not in the receptive state. You really have to detach and trust, almost like you're going to a cafe and you just ordered your matcha. Are you doubting that the matcha is coming? No, because you paid for it and you're standing here and you can see the barista make your matcha. You're not doubting. And that's important. So after you send out the order, you stay in that frequency, in that trust, and you just go on about your day. So that's what I did. I came back from my massage, and a guy on the scooter just came back from the beach, and he's like, "Hey, I have seen you around. Who are you? Where do you come from? Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, this is so crazy. And it was really hard for me to focus on the conversation because I was just so, what's happening? Um, but one of the things that like I didn't want anymore in a future relationship was that I didn't want to be the entertainer, the carrier, the nurturer, and the comedic all of the time. I wanted an equal partner to share the responsibility of having a fun life. And this conversation with that guy was just like, I can take over and carry the conversation because I clearly see that maybe you're a bit introverted or whatever, but there's no spark. Like, I don't feel anything. And in the past, I would have been like, okay, let's just give him a chance. But we're splenic. I know right away. So I said, hey, thank you, because he asked me if I want to go for coffee. And I said, well, thank you so much, but I'm not interested. And then he drove off. And then I let go of it again and I adjusted the order. Then I think it was the next day, I was on the phone again with my friend, and another guy came up to me and was like, hey, oh my God, I just saw you walking. Like, I would love to get to know you. And I was on the phone and I just like look over to him and like, sorry, what is it? He's like, yeah, I would love to get to know you. I'm like, I'm in a conversation with my friend, and you know when like projectors are coaching someone through something, like there's nothing that can happen. Like I want to be in this conversation. Like I feel I'm invited here, I'm needed here. No. So I also declined him because I was like, wrong time. Universe, send someone to me when I'm actually like, then I adjusted, like, I don't want to be approached like this, like a cold acquisition. Because I have a fully open emotional center. I'm a Taurus Mars. Like, I like things slow and steady where I feel I can still, like nip in and out. And it's not like this frontal attack. Like, that just overwhelms my system. And then I'm like, oof, fuck, this is too much. Then the next day, I had another guy come up to me with all the adjusted features. And I was walking around and he was like, hey, you look really friendly, blah, blah. And we were chatting. We had so much fun. He was challenging me, but not in a mean way, in a very caring and diplomatic way. And also that was really nice. He wanted to go meet me again, but I wasn't attracted to him physically, And again, that I declined. And that thing kept happening over and over again. Also, when I was in Amsterdam then, every time I send out a prayer, or sometimes I get even a little bit angry when I am like, universe, what the fuck? I'm putting in the work. I'm showing myself, like I'm doing everything that you want. Show me that there's people out there that need my work. Boom, booking.
Mhm.
It's crazy. But yeah, so that's but I think what I'm learning is to not accept when it's not what I want. And I noticed that with every encounter, with every order that got delivered, I got an upgrade. And so yesterday I went to Pilates, and on my way there, I was like, wait a minute, actually, I haven't been approached for like maybe a week. That's what's going on here, universe. Like, I'm still here. Do I always have to send out these orders? Let's have a chat. And then I said, yeah, show me where my person is. Like, where is my soulmate? Like, not that there's only one soulmate, but just in that moment. And I did my yin yoga. I was like relaxed, zen as fuck. And I was just wandering around and I see this Korean restaurant and my spine was like, ding. So I get off the bike and I walk in. I didn't end up eating there, but as I walk back out and I look up from my phone, my celebrity crush like looks into my eyes and I'm like, it took me a couple of seconds to clock that it was him and that he was, I don't know, that we were looking at each other.
Like, you got to tell us, who is it? Who's your celebrity crush?
I don't know. He's probably not gonna listen to this podcast, and probably also not a lot of people know him. But it's a German actor. His name is Emilio Sacraia.
I don't know him, but I will for sure look him up.
He also doesn't look German. He's, I think, a Moroccan, but he grew up in Germany. And he's now with Rosalia. So maybe that's where people know him from.
I don't know who that is either, but anyway.
But anyway, so for me, like, it doesn't mean any. For me, if people are in my orbit or in my environment, like, I don't make anything out of the fact that we looked at each other. That's not what I'm paying attention to. It's just, for me, a testament to I am vibrating on a frequency that I'm now in close proximity to people that I like what they're doing professionally. I like the values. It's like, whoa, we just did a jump. Obviously, like, he didn't like approach me or anything, but just it's like a little puzzle piece, a little piece of confirmation. You're doing something right here.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, first of all, listening to you, it's an energy that is not needy because you know what you want and you're like gratefully and politely declining what doesn't work. And then you're waiting for the next thing, trusting that it will happen. And I think if I'm now reflecting on my own journey, I'm seeing very clearly that for me, it's working easily now that I've left my home space and I'm out in the world again in a place where I can connect with people. It was very difficult when I was in rural Germany at my parents' place for like a month or two. And so I think this is something that people go through, and it's a shared experience. And I want to hear your opinion on it. What do you do if you're in a place where you feel like you just cannot pull yourself up to that frequency that you want to be at? What are things that have helped you before when you were there? Were you even there? And yeah, share a little bit about I'll call it troubleshooting. What do you do when you feel like, shit, I'm ordering, but I'm not quite believing?
Mm-hmm. So what you said, like this detachment is super important. If you feel like your life is only going to improve once you have that thing that you ordered, you're not in the frequency of fulfillment, because anything is only going to meet you at the frequency you're at right now. So if you're desperate, then very likely you're going to attract also desperate partners. And then that's going to be the theme of that relationship. I have been, of course, like in many situations where I had a lot of limitations. I totally also resonate with being, for example, in your hometown with like people that, and I don't mean this to be like judgy, it's just every person has a different path. I know that my path is about going out in the world and expanding my horizon and my beliefs and growing and never staying the same. And it sometimes feels like when you're going to the place where you grew up that you're like, I lost weight and now I'm trying to fit into old pair of pants that just, I'm dressed, but I don't feel that it fits. So what I do in these situations, I believe everyone always has wiggle room. Like, it just depends on what you focus. So if I'm really, really in the shits, let's say I don't have money, I don't have a home, I don't have a relationship, obviously for some time I will feel sorry for myself, I will grieve, and I will just allow this emotion to be there. And then I get to a point where I'm like, okay, let's change it. What is in my power right now that I can change? And what the first thing that I always start is surround yourself with people that inspire you and that uplift you. I listen to podcasts, I listen to YouTube videos, very often to Abraham Hicks. She has, for me, the frequency of hope. She's like, I could be crying, not feeling like my life is ever going to work out. And then I collect myself, I go on a walk and I listen to Abraham Hicks about exactly the topic that I feel sad about. And it's just, all right, I'm a bad bitch. I got
Yeah.
this.
It's interesting that you say that because one of my really good friends has Hope Motivation too, and she loves Abraham Hicks as well. So this is maybe a hope motivation hack. Girls, listen
Very,
up.
very, I totally agree. I know also my Reflector Hope Motivation friend, she also loves Abraham Hicks. And I think because I know quite well what works for me, I can go straight to the solution. So, for example, for you with need motivation, you would maybe need a friend, you would need a connection, you would need some closeness. Like, that's maybe what's going to get you more in the frequency of, I'm not alone. You also, your North Node is in Libra. It's all about relationships, closeness, intimacy. Whereas for me, it's more a frequency of life can be good. Look what I made. Like, my life was shit and now it's good. Like, that's the kind of vibe that I need. So yeah, getting clear on what it is that you need and then doing that.
Mhm.
And trying to surround yourself mainly with that energy. And then work your way up from there. Just maybe, I mean, it depends on what area is not in line. But for example, like 2 years ago, I was super depressed because I didn't earn enough money yet with my business, and I didn't have a pay the bills job. And I was like, fuck, I'm not in trust. I can't be in trust because my nervous system is so out of whack. Like, I can't sleep. I am just working. My creativity is not coming. So just wherever you're at, what do you need right now the most? Do you need financial stability? Don't like, and I know this is a very channel of judgment thing, like, don't look at the perfected way of earning money right now. You just need security and you need calmness. So how can you bring that in? Like, what skills do you already have? Like, where can you maybe make yourself visible? And for me, that was then finding a job in the area that I already had before, but then adjusted and tailored to what I would need right now. So fully remote, for a product that I like, that I can just freely talk about. And like, it's, and then you work your way up to like, okay, now I'm here, now I'm regulated, now I can add, let's say, you can work on your creative projects because you have peace of mind. And that's, I think, how I would approach like the uncertainty. How do you do that?
Great question. First of all, I want to share for the listeners, because we're both fifth line, so they're likely you might be projecting some things onto us. We're both business owners. And what Lea just shared is a very common thing for people to go through. And I also was in a phase like this where I was like, oh God, I'm not surviving yet with my business. What can I do? And I found work on the side that for me, it was important that it didn't feel like working, because I was like, I cannot do more work. I don't have capacity to do this. But what I can is spend some time with a child, for example. So I started nannying on the side, and it was the best thing that happened to me because I loved it. It pays really well. I just had a little bit of action on the side and I could focus on my business again. So do not believe that you'll have to, like, your business is growing. It's a seed that has been planted and then you're nurturing it. And this is nurturing your business too. And so how do I do this? If I look at my very recent example of, well, I've left London really abruptly. I was like, okay, this is not working anymore. I need to leave. Went to my parents' place because this is always my, I guess I would call it safe haven, although it doesn't really feel like it, but it's a place where I can be and reconnect with myself and recollect and make a plan. And this time I was very much in the surrendered invitation idea. And I was like, okay, we'll just see what invitations will come in, and I'll wait until it's clear. And I was waiting and I was waiting, and invitations did come, but they weren't the right invitations. It was invitations for working in my hometown, like teaching yoga here or taking this class. And I was like, oh, okay, I might do a little bit of that as long as I'm here, but okay, I'll do a little bit of that. And I kept waiting and I kept waiting and I kept getting more frustrated and I kept feeling that this is not the right environment for me. And I knew environment matters so much for me because, like you said, I need to be in an environment where I feel inspired, where the world feels open, where I can feel expansive, where I can connect with people, where I am seen also. And I'm not seen in a 2,000 people village. No one, like, it's just, there are beautiful people there, but they're not my people. And so I was waiting. And I think the lesson for me was to learn that, yes, you can't be desperate and you have to get yourself into the vibe and frequency you want to get into. You have to do it yourself. And from there, things will start flowing again. So the thing for me to do was like, okay, I don't know where to go, but I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go and see and experience different places in the world. And then maybe I'll get some invitations there of where to live next, maybe not. And then I'm just going to make a decision by myself. It's fine. And already leaving, I started feeling such big shifts. And it was so fun because I've played around with this. Obviously, I've been watching you and I've played around with this ordering with the universe as well. And last night I was like, oh, I'm a little bit bored. What could I do? I don't know, universe, can you just send me an adventure, something fun that feels exciting, but not in like a crazy way, just something fun. And then I forgot about it. And later on, after I had dinner, I found this movie, like outdoor movie thing. And I was like, oh, this looks fun. Let's just go to it. And I put into maps, walked into the direction and it showed me, got there and it wasn't there. I was like, cool. I just walked 36 minutes into the wrong direction, talked to a guy and he's like, no, you need to go this way. So I was like, okay, I'm going to line bike because otherwise I won't make it in time. Walked to my line bike and a guy drives past and was like, hey, are you going into this direction? Because if so, I can take you. They have these little, they're like tuk-tuks, but I don't know what you call them here in Lisbon, but these little driving things. And this might sound dangerous, but it's not dangerous. I know when I'm safe with a person or not. So I get into his little tuk-tuk thing and he shows me around. He shows me loads of street art on the way. Turns out he lived in London in the exact neighborhood that I lived in.
I'm getting chills.
Yeah, like what are the chances? He's about my age. He was from Brazil. He has his own business, blah, blah, blah. Again, not like physically, there's no physical attraction, but I'm like, cool, this is just like, this is going into the right direction. He drops me off at the movie place. I stay for the movie. Actually, I leave midway because I'm a projector and I don't need to finish finish everything. I was tired, but I had like a beautiful evening. I came back home and I go to bed feeling really satisfied. And for me, it's important to then acknowledge it and say to the universe, amazing. Like I asked for an adventure and you gave me an adventure. And this is maybe where the adjusting then happens. But next time I would like this. And next time I would like that. So, and I guess to sum it up, the story, or my learning of the story is you need to be willing to do, let's call it some work yourself, to take care of yourself, to get yourself into a space where you can receive. And sometimes you might not be in a space where you can receive, but there's always tiny adjustments that you can make that could get you closer to that place.
I totally agree. And I also wanted to mention how aligned it is for you with need motivation to then pick up a nannying job where you are closely connected to a child. It's a very like intimate bond. You maybe get some physical touch. Like it's just that's what can get a need motivation person into the frequency of, oh, I feel held, I feel full, I feel nurtured. And then from there on, you take it to the next level.
Yes. Yeah, and it was so sweet. The little guy, oh man, I miss him so much. But it was so sweet because I felt really on purpose as well, even though I know that this is not my purpose. This is not what I'm here to do. I could directly see the impact that I was having with this little guy. And it felt like practice because I want to have children one day myself. And it's like every day you're mastering challenging situations, especially when they're already a little bit older. He was 5. And you're learning like on the job and you're able to be there for a child in a way that maybe someone wasn't there for you. But also I was realizing what I've judged my parents for when actually in some situations it was a right thing, in my opinion, the right thing to do. And so there was a lot of learning happening and I really, really enjoyed it.
It helps so much to spend time with kids because, as you said, you can kind of relive your own childhood. You have so much more compassion for your parents. You also learn patience and you learn that there is no, like, yeah, nice, you can have a plan, but the kid doesn't maybe want to follow the plan. And then you really have to be flexible and be like, okay, you just suggested whatever. Like with Philippa, there's always like something, no, I don't want to carry my bag like this. And you're like, hey, do you want to maybe have my bag? Or she doesn't want to keep walking. And then you suggest something else that is like further along the path. And my sister is a generator, and so is Philippa, and she's so good in offering options to respond to. Like it just comes so natural to her. And I think what I also learned is that we can't judge where we're at right now, coming with our mental ego. Oh, I should be further ahead. This is not my purpose. This is I'm destined for something more, for something bigger. Yes, that can be true. And at the same time, you will only realize in retrospective how that exact moment, like for example, also not knowing where to go, has taught me so much about how to deal with uncertainty. Like I had exactly the same situation as you did with when you were at your parents' house for a couple of years in Amsterdam. Like I knew I didn't want to be there. I was tied to a beautiful apartment that I just didn't want to leave it. I have my Chiron in the 4th house. Like for me, I just wanted to be somewhere where I'm sheltered. Like I feel safe here. And so I went traveling and I rented out the apartment, and now I'm in this huge situation where like legal whatever, like because I sub-rented it and I have to pay fines because I all came out. And when I left, I didn't let go of the apartment because I was too scared. I knew I didn't really want to come back, but I just wanted to have that in the back of my mind. If you're third line, let it go. Just let it go. It will come back if it's meant to be, but close the tab. That's my lesson now. But now a year later, I went traveling, you know how it is. Then you go to a place, then maybe the accommodation isn't nice. With every time I had to like die a little death of my home is not on the outside. My home is within. And now after a year, I'm letting go of my apartment. I'm going back in July to close off the chapter and take the furniture out. And I don't know where else I'm gonna go, but I just don't have this fear anymore. So all of the steps that I experienced before that I judged at the moment as, oh man, I'm like 33, 34. Why am I in this situation? I'm so grateful for it now because it doesn't control me anymore. You know, that fear, I can act from so much more flexibility because I'm like, whatever, I send out a prayer, I will find a new home.
Yes, exactly. And I was giggling to myself yesterday when I was traveling because I was like, well, a few years ago, I would have judged the people that were traveling alone, be like, what do you do here alone? Like, it's so much better to travel with someone else. Do you not have any friends? And now I'm in this situation. I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, yeah, we're all learning really important lessons here. And it's so fun. It's so fun. Yeah, of course, it's not always easy like anything in life. There's always a balance between things, but it's so fun to be in this somewhat surrendered state because eventually if you want a home, you know that there will be a home. Like there's if this is a desire of yours, there's just no way around it. And so accepting this way as the way there and taking the pressure off, I need to figure it out. I need to find something. I want it now. I want it to be this, and that. Like, okay, well, let's have the idea and let's have the standards and values like you do with your prayers specifically to dating or orders specifically to dating. And then let's enjoy the way there. Let's enjoy this conversation with this person, even though I feel that it's not my person, but it's fun. Let's enjoy feeling empowered and saying no, because that might be something that I wasn't so comfortable with in the past. Let's enjoy the process of asking and receiving. And I think, yeah, it's so inspiring. And I really love that you, like, first of all, brought Kabbalah into my life. And then now showing and living this so authentically because it is really inspiring and it is really fun to witness. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you. I thank you so much for that. There's also, and maybe you have thought about this before too. There's so much in the online world, in the coaching, mentoring space where people are like, you do exactly this, and then you're gonna get that result. And it's still to a very big capacity how marketing is taught, how business coaches tell you you should approach success. And it never sat right with me. And so even like life with like, again, we're surrendered people. Like we don't make things happen by, we do this one thing and then X happens. It's about surrendering to, hey, I have a long-term vision for this, for my business, for my relationships. But the way I'm gonna get there, nobody can tell me but myself. Because based on your physical compass, you're pulled into certain directions and to say certain things, to do certain things. Like sometimes I don't know why I'm saying things. For example, yesterday I went to yoga and I don't know why I told my sister, like, yeah, it's there and there. But she then replied and said, hey, oh yeah, it's next to this one shop. And because she said that, and because I had that conversation, and even while I was sharing, sometimes I'm like, why am I sharing? Like, I then went to yoga and I realized because I have the information where it's next to, I can now find it. Because if I hadn't had that information, and that makes me realize so often we need to stop doubting what we're doing in the moment and just trust you're not following someone else's rules for a reason. You're not where you're at right now because you're meant to learn a different lesson before you get to where you want to be. And also forget that just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean it's not happening in general. It's just the universe always gives you what you need to focus on in the moment. And that, I said that now and I need to take that that advice myself. But yeah.
It's a big channel of judgment thing, I think, because we can see how others perfected something, and the urge to do it the right way and the perfect way and the way that works and would work for everybody, it is a desire. And then at the same time, you have the understanding of, so for the listeners, we share this channel. It's my only channel, and Lea has the channel too. It's about perfecting things, but for the collective, not for yourself. And this is a trap because we're good at it. We can see how things could be perfected. And for me, I notice things always happen because with splenic, things always happen when either I'm so relaxed that I'm just following my initial impulse, or I literally have no way of satisfying my mind, like satisfying this or finding or going along with the solution that my mind had. And so I just go back to what my initial impulse was. And then suddenly you feel like synchronicities happen. Like there was this example, I went to a boxing class in Berlin and I went out for breakfast before and I had an hour of time and was like, oh, what am I going to do with this hour? Okay, let's walk around. Let's see whether I can find a cafe to sit in. Do something so I don't sit at the boxing place for an hour. And I couldn't find anything, so I surrendered and was like, oh, well, we're just going to sit at the boxing place for an hour. And I sat there and the instructor came. And again, he had his own business. He was somewhat successful with what he was doing. He was also into coaching, into loads of the things that I was into. We had a great chat. And I was like, oh, okay, well, there you go. There you have it again. It's like the initial impulse that is the right thing for a splenic being often. And what comes after is a mind that overrides it. Do you feel that too?
100%, yeah. And I, like, even with this apartment situation, there was one moment where I know I made a decision that got me into this situation right now. And I just felt it in my body. And usually I think it depends also on other aspects in your chart, but my splenic intuition is very much connected to fear because I'm smell as well. And that's like a first line kind of energy. And I would get, and I have probability perspective. I was actually talking with Tansi, who's you have to follow her. You Meme Design,
the best.
Most hilarious human design Instagram account and very informative. She has probability perspective and hope motivation as well. And before this happened and because the case has always changed, like, oh, because I'm in between my landlord and my sub-renter, and like it's been going on for 2 months where I'm like, I don't know what they're going to respond. I don't know what's going to happen. And I always had to collect myself, but I kept having this anxiety. And then I talked to Tansi about it. And I'm like, do you have this too? Because my probability perspective can sometimes see what's going to come, but I don't have any facts yet. And then my body reacts with panic or anxiety. And everyone I talk to, they're like, oh, you're like making this up. Like you're now painting the worst cases. And then she's like, no, I have this too. And also she had this, that people were like, oh no, this is like, you're over exaggerating. And that's how, if I don't listen to the spleen or don't take action or address what is making me feel anxious, it can just go up to like a really intense anxiety attack. Do you have that too, that you feel it as anxiety?
Yeah. And it can be really disorienting sometimes because you don't really know what you're like, okay, now I'm feeling anxious. What is this in relation to? Is this the environment that I'm in? Is it the food that is right in front of me? Is it the person that's sitting next to me? And when you don't catch it at the beginning and the anxiety has already risen, for me, it's really difficult then to figure out what it was and how to remove myself. So oftentimes I didn't have to just sit with it. But yeah, I feel like the anxiety that doesn't make any sense, and that's now tricky for the listeners who might not be splenic, because you could be asking, does anxiety ever make sense? But anxiety that is just kind of random and popping up in situations when you're usually not an anxious person, or maybe when your quote unquote normal anxiety would be triggered by other triggers, is, I feel like, at the center of a splenic reaction to something that isn't right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you, let's say you're emotional and you are in a situation that is not correct for you, very likely you will, I mean, like we work differently. Like as splenic beings, we get the information right away because we have to make fast decisions. That's our task in life. If you're emotional, you don't have to figure it out that fast because you have to interact with that thing a couple of times in order to observe it from different stages of your emotional wave, because for you it's always a snapshot at the moment, and maybe the next time you interact with that person your mood is changed, and that has an impact on how you perceive the other person. But I think in general, if no matter what intuition or authority you have, whether you have sacral, emotional, ego, splenic, what else is there, self-projected and mental, I think the moment that you start to feel there's a contraction in your body, there's maybe resistance, there is doubts, even when you have mental intuition, it's either that something is not aligned, like everyone emits an energy. And when the energy doesn't align with the words someone is speaking, your body is giving you uh, what's going on. And for us, it shows up as anxiety. For an emotional, it can show up as emotional outbursts or not feeling emotionally safe. For sacral, it can be you get really tired because your energy is drained. And maybe a mental person gets a headache, and a self-projected person gets a throat pain because they can't express something around themselves. So I think there's like different symptoms for every person, but the main thing I would look out for is something inside of me stuck? And where is it stuck? And is there something that I need? Or can I make some changes that would help me feel unstuck? Unstuck, is that a word? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And like, I want to add to it because sometimes it seems so silly. Like, these little changes seem so silly, and you're like, oh, I don't want to get up now because then I'll be noticed by everybody. What are they going to think? Blah, 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 blah. And I like to approach them now in this from a Kabbalistic view. And like, if this was like the moment when everything changed, like if this was like you passing another test in the most beautiful and easeful way, not in a school way where you have to pass, otherwise you fail, but more as like an opportunity. If this was your opportunity, would you now get up and make that change? Would you now say no thank you to this person? Would you now get up and leave the movie midway? And often when I have that thought, it really helps me to be like, yeah, of course, I will look after myself. Okay, we'll do it. And that makes it really fun for me as well.
Yeah, it's nice because it also puts you back in the power of deciding, is this now the moment where I take over, or do I just let it happen?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, last question. Is there anything that you still have on mind or heart that you want to share with our listeners today?
Mm, I think just like not comparing yourself to the process of other people, because I mean, we're both fifth lines. You probably also think things about us that are not true. Um, and I do the same with other people. And I have also met quite a few people that have a huge following on social media in real life. And I'm like, we're all the same. It's
Yes.
just a show. It's anything that is always helping me to keep going. Like, don't think that you're a bad person or you're behind in life. You're exactly where you need to be as long as you keep making the effort to become aware of like what it is that you want to give to the world, and then jump over your own shadow or fear to provide that for others. You're always going to be supported.
Yes. And I think that's such an important distinction because sometimes this like you're always in the right spot can lead to this, okay, I could just lean back, and that's not it. Yes, you can and you are supported, but you also are invited to participate in this life, and you can do that in the way that feels, I guess, aligned to you, and you know best what that is for yourself. I know you have a beautiful or some beautiful things going on, like your mentorship and your coaching and human design offers. Is there anything you want to share about in particularly, or are people best to just click your website or your link tree and check everything out there?
Yes, so I am actually currently working on a Rise by Design Bible, which is a combination of human design and astrology with prayers and subconscious reprogramming exercises. And I feel like it's been in the works for so many years, but I'm finally like ready to put everything together. It it is like basically a Bible that tells you how you work. So that, for example, like I'm very much focused on people, helping people find their career or their purpose, or turning their purpose into a source of income and a job. And for that, with this, like, so many distractions out there, I think the foundation of starting your own business or finding your purpose is, first of all, understanding how you work. And then saying no to everything and declining everything that is not in alignment with how you work, um, while calling in the energetic support and removing your internal blockages. So it's gonna be for people that maybe they just quit their job, or maybe they have already a business, but they feel a little bit stuck. Like, I want to make it more me. I don't want to keep following the algorithm or the business coaches. I want to find my own way of running this company or this job. And that's basically what the Rise by Design Bible is for. I haven't launched it yet. It's going to come when it comes, probably in like a month or two. But if you want to check out my website, I offer sessions. I have a mentorship, as she said, as Paula said,
It's okay.
where I have some stories and audios about human design situations. I'm very much focused on human design in real life because I feel like we have so much information. And we need to apply it. So,
And our judgment.
panel of judgment, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All the links will be in the show notes. Please go follow Lea, connect with her. She's an amazing human being. And thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoyed this conversation. And until next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for being here today and listening along to Human Design 101 with me, your host, Paula Fehrmann. I trust that you received exactly what you needed from today's episode, and I love how the universe matched us today. If you enjoy listening and learning with me, please leave a review wherever you are listening to this podcast so that more people can unlock their true selves and ultimately become who they were meant to be using human design. Until next time, lots of love and bye-bye.